За энэ хүнийг одоо өвчин зүлэн гөрөвлөх амар олон байлгаж чамайг алаж идэхгүй амийг ч өршөөлөө. Чамайг одоо хүнд худалдахгүй, зарахгүй, өрөхгүй, зодохгүй, онгоц илгасыг чинь ноос үсийг чинь авч байна гэхдээ хариу улгамалгаанд байж байна. Одоо ингээд энэ хүний амин аварч байлаа.
At the desert's edge, there is a vast sea. People have long traveled across this expansive land on the back of camels. These animals came to be the ships of the desert. Chagangtime means white camel in Mongolian. The color white signified something good, valuable, and sacred to Mongolians. It is the color of the milk from their livestock. Chagangtime live their lives in solitary in the desert. The people here believe that when one dies, it is lifted up to heaven. It's spring. This is where most camels in the Gobi Desert are found. The Garbin region of the Gobi is considered their primary habitat. When a camel gives birth, she stays away from the herd. The mother hasn't had a single drop of water in over 3 days. The day is complete after the camels are milked twice, once in the morning and again in the evening. The mother camel hasn't yet returned today. It has already been 4 hours. The mother has waited over 13 months to see her newborn calf. This 3-year-old mother camel is named Kongji. This is her first time to give birth. This region is wide and unbroken, which allows the smell of amniotic fluid to travel a long distance. And there are wolves in the Gobi Desert. A camel's olfactory senses are able to detect water from 4 kilometers away. The camels are trying to assess the situation by smelling each other's tail end. Female camels are known to sometimes attack the young of another, even stomping it to death. Night out on the desert soon comes to the newborn camel and its mother, who is unable to leave her helpless offspring. This man ties a hattak around the camel's neck. It's a piece of silk used as an offering in Tibetan Buddhism practiced in Mongolia. This will help the young grow strong, protect it from the cunning eyes of the wolves, and bring it back home on all 4s. Many wishes are instilled in this old piece of cloth.
За яаснаар болваа.
Энэ бодлоо.
Ямар ингэ бодлоо.
Нэг бонд дотох чалаа. Юм дүүчлээ.
За тэгээ гайгүй шүү ботгол уу?
Гайгүй.
Today is the day to hire workers to help shear the cashmere wool from the goats. As the price of cashmere rises, more and more nomads end up raising goats than the camels or sheep they've historically tended. Only $3 a head for shearing goats. Shearing over 100 animals is a difficult task to both goat and human. The process takes 1 minute. This butcher ends the goat's life by squeezing off the primary artery from its heart. He doesn't spill a single drop of the animal's blood on the ground. This is the fastest and most humane way to minimize pain. He waits until the creature's final breath. These common practices for animal slaughter are a millennia-old tradition. Among the customs, livestock in the Gobi are not slaughtered in the spring, since they have starved through the winter. They are not killed in the middle of the night or on rainy days. It would be unthinkable, the humans believe, to send away their friends at such a gloomy time. Women and children are not allowed to witness the scene of slaughter. The goat's viscera are washed and eaten as sausage, tripe, and offal. The meat is boiled or dried to eat later. It's been 20 years since Mongolia made the change from socialism to capitalism. This has had a profound effect on nomadic life. Nomads who don't tend livestock must instead find manual labor. The smell of blood might attract other animals who are aggressive from hunger. Not long ago, wolves appeared in the next village and snatched 2 sheep. An old proverb warns herders not to spill a single drop of livestock blood. This is the wisdom of the nomads. Remaining excrement is always discarded on the grass. Nothing is thrown away in the Gobi. Two days have passed. Traveling night and day, Kongji has journeyed some 300 kilometers. Her newborn is in tow, even though he can barely stand. The newborn calf can survive for 3 days without drinking its mother's milk. Finally, it will stand on all fours and reach her udder. Another sun has set. People say they can leave if they have a place to come back to. In the Gobi Desert, people can come back, but they don't stay. Some will leave even when they have no place to return. They are those who own nothing. They travel across the vast Gobi Desert as if they're sailing on the sea. Out on the Gobi, the approaching wind comes like a wolf. It may scatter away like a mist, or wildly soar up to the far reaches of the sky. Sometimes it whirls with a violent motion, and it blows away over faraway mountains. Suddenly it comes back, as if it is going to attack. The wind has left many scars on the face of the Gobi. Dust storms in the spring, drought in the summer, bitter cold and blizzards in winter. The nomads are all too familiar with this. Even if they lose everything they've created and held on to, that is how life goes in the Gobi. The livestock can easily be disoriented or lost by the powerful winds. Even human lives are threatened. On this day, 7 Mongolian homes known as Ger were blown away. 3 people are missing. A blue sky suddenly emerges from the yellow sandstorm. It looks peaceful, as if nothing has happened. Livestock who died from the storm or other causes are discarded instead of being used for food. It is a similar fate for those killed by other creatures. To the nomads, it is taboo to eat meat from livestock which has died painful deaths. Instead, they let the wild animals have them. Three days have passed. The newborn camel has finally been found. "64 kilometers per hour. That's the maximum speed of a Bactrian camel. Camels don't usually run. It's risky to get overheated in the heat of the desert. But this camel is running. The mother is running. A spring rain comes to the Gobi Desert. This year, the first rain barely lasts half an hour. The rain in the desert brings peace and calm to the Gobi. The vultures return in the spring. Spring is when their prey ventures out after successfully surviving the winter. This creature hasn't started its search for food yet, but its appearance alone is menacing to the Gobi's smaller residents. The scorpions found in the Gobi Desert are smaller than those in other regions. Its venom is also less potent. The eagles winter on the Korean peninsula. They come back to their home in the Gobi Desert to breed. It will take 4 months for these hatchlings to mature. Raising young in the desert, where food is sparse, is particularly difficult. The Hulan, or Mongolian wild ass, is a cross between a horse and a donkey. They used to be kept by humans, but they were thought to be useless, so they were sent back into the wild. Perhaps they are lucky creatures. Small, weak-seeming creatures also thrive in the desert. This digger wasp is making a hole for its eggs. After a tough dig, sand cascades back into the tunnel. It is like a never-ending nightmare. Camouflaged coloring. Swift and assured footing on the shifting sand. And a special skill that other creatures don't possess. It's difficult to survive in the desert without multiple skills. But nothing is more powerful than being part of a gang. These Myrmecine ants have set up a trap in the sand to catch insects passing by. Ants in the desert engage in something called a marriage flight. The worker ants are pestering the winged princess. In the desert, the marriage flight takes place at sunset. This is because the sand is too hot during the day. The new ant colony they create will help make the desert more productive. This Chagangtime camel is 30 years old this year. In the camel's life cycle, this might correspond to an octogenarian human. Its teeth are all worn down. It must grind its food with its gums. The Chagangtime goes on a lonely search for water. A muddy puddle has formed where animals have been digging at the soil. The younger camels don't dare stand up to their senior. The Chagangtime can drink up to 100 liters at one time. It takes as long as 3 minutes to urinate. This is a female camel. She has the bushiest coat in the herd. She is very thirsty now. Their patience is a key characteristic of their survival in the desert. This is the fiercest battle the camels endure. Other camels, awed by the grandeur of the Chagangtime, deliberately avoid him. The female camel tries to take another camel's spot, but nothing seems easy. The Chagangtime monopolizing the best spot relinquishes it after filling itself with water. It is a life and death struggle for water rights. But in the end, the Chagangtime gives up its prime spot. Water courses beneath the desert. The grass is evidence of that. The grass knows where the water is. It is the water that roams around where it wants. Trees and grass move to where the water goes. Animals simply look for those signs. The livestock travel along these invisible highways of water. A hungry camel cannot be picky. Extra sustenance is stored away in the hump. A depleted hump is a sign of malnourishment. Lean camels cannot produce milk during the winter. That's why nomads call spring the time of milk famine. Shearing should be finished before it gets hot. Shearing in the 60-degree heat of summer would be unbearable. It takes about 30 minutes to shear a single camel. Actually, camels naturally shed their coat in summer. A coatless camel tends to release twice as much sweat. But the nomadic herders need the camel hair for themselves. It is used to weave clothing, socks, blankets, and rope. One kilogram of camel hair goes for about $7. One camel yields about 5 kilograms of camel fur. It is a lucrative business for the nomadic herders. A completely sheared camel will grow a new coat before winter comes. Camels have been domesticated for 5,000 years. This would have been impossible if they didn't have something for humans to take advantage of. It is a busy day on the Gobi Desert for both camel and nomad. Here, we see Kongji and her new calf. Sometimes, a newborn camel doesn't recognize its own mother. Even the camel herder must be careful around the mother camel and its young. Camels can be calm and docile creatures, but they are known to attack the young of other camels, or any animal near its feet. Animals can get injured or killed when stomped this way. For this reason, nomads never allow their children around the camels. The young ones receive much love. They chase each other. They bite. They roll around. They cuddle with each other. The youngsters go out to graze with their mothers. This is Kongji. Her newborn, still weak from birth, is tied up. Camels return to the human for two important reasons. One is that the nomads give them water. The other is that their young are waiting for them. Every creature has at least one reason to live. It could be to eat and maintain life, and not forget to have loved. It's a rare situation, but sometimes a mother camel refuses to bond with her young. This might occur after a first birth, or if the mother suffered a great deal during labor. The nomads pacify these mothers with a treatment called huse. They hang a traditional Mongolian instrument called a morin hor on her hump and calm her with songs. Now everyone is able to hear the sound of the Morin Hor. It is one of the most ancient healing rituals. It is actually the wind that creates the sound of the Morin Hor. The nomads say that no other livestock misses their young and takes care of them like the camel does. Huang is the first owner of a Chagangtime. He is well known because he has the largest herd of camels in Garbin Gobi, some 600 head. In 1994, he offered up this Chagangtime to the spirits. In Mongolia, such an offering would mean letting it go to live its life. As he promised, Huang returns here every year to change the hatak. He has faithfully been keeping his word for almost 2 decades. You can travel anywhere in the world and come back anytime you want. You have gained eternal freedom. Another day passes in the Gobi Desert. The Chagangtime sets off on its journey. Nobody owns this place, and nobody stays here. Only the Gobi remains to watch over this place.